Some of us do stuff for such short periods of time, for just as long as our burst of energy lasts, that we never earn the right to finish. Finishing is earned. Me and my team have done something for 10 consecutive years. We have earned the right to close the doors and close the chapter on this. Like, finishing is earned. You have to do something long enough to finish it. Optimal health is not a privilege, it's a right. However, unfortunately, the overwhelming majority of health challenges today can be attributed to lifestyle. This includes our physical activity, the quality of our relationships, stress, purpose and fulfillment, and of course, our diet. But what if there was an alternative? What if we could prevent and combat these health challenges with lifestyle changes before pills and procedures? You are listening to the Plant Protocol podcast with yours truly, plant-based health and business coach, and now the forever voice in your head, Lisa A. Smith. It's time to come get this health. So I've made the decision to end my plant-based health coaching program after 10 transformational years. I started my coaching company in 2015. And in 2016, we introduced what was then our first course, and it was called Plant-Based Plus. And in 2016, when we introduced Plant-Based Plus, it was because I wanted to teach people how to use food as medicine. I wanted to teach individuals the power of diet. I wanted to teach people the power of changing their lifestyle and not just using medications and medical equipment to extend life. And so when I started Plant-Based Plus in 2016, I had no idea what it would grow into. And what it has become today. I had no idea that the program would be around 10 years. I had no idea that it would switch from just a course to a live coaching program. I had no idea that I would teach it in person and be renting out space. I had no idea that I would eventually train instructors to facilitate the curriculum. I had no idea that we would license the program out and help other healthcare providers using P.H.A.R.M to Table in the curriculum that we have. And so I was like just starting where I was, completely new to entrepreneurship, completely new to course creation. As a matter of fact, when I created Plant-Based Plus, what would eventually become known as P.H.A.R.M to Table, I actually hired a coach to do that. I remember paying a coach, her name was Danielle Leslie, to help me create my digital course. I used the Teachable platform and I created a curriculum and I started selling Plant-Based Plus as part of our offerings at my company at that time, which was then called Professionally Fit. Like, so much has changed in the last 10 years of running this program. And now today, as we sit in 2026, I have made the decision to sunset this program, to sunset P.H.A.R.M to Table. So there has been many lessons, there have been many wins, there have been many transformations, and I am the transformation that's at the top of the list. The things that P.H.A.R.M to Table has taught me with becoming a leader, an entrepreneur, a facilitator, a coach have been endless. And today I want to share some of those lessons and decisions with you guys today. And I want to talk about my decision to sunset this program after 10 years. And I want to specifically spend some time on the difference between quitting something and finishing something, quitting versus finishing. Because I truly believe that some of us have a really unhealthy relationship with adulting. I believe many of us have a really unhealthy relationship with adulting. And what that means is, for a lot of us, we're starting to come and go as we please. For a lot of us, we're overutilizing the perks of being an adult, because as an adult, you get to make your own decisions. And as an adult, you get to decide, when you show up, you get to decide how long you stay. You get to wake up every day and decide what you want to do, what you don't want to do. And I believe for a lot of us, that's part of the problem. Like, adulting has its perks, right? You're making your own decisions. You don't have a parent or anyone over you telling you when to start, when to stop, what to do, what not to do, right? You get to walk away from things at your own free will. And for many of us, we understand that responsibility and that perk. And for other of us, we overuse it. And that for a lot of us, that comes to the things that God has told us to do, that comes to the things that we feel like we're called to do. But unfortunately, when we hit a a point on the journey where there's a level of difficulty or discomfort. For many of us, we're putting stuff down, we're quitting, we're stopping, we're pausing. And when I say pause, I mean for years. And it is delaying our obedience. And so I want to talk today about the difference between quitting and finishing, and why I'm deciding after 10 years to sunset my plant based coaching program, Farm to Table. Farm to Table, has been a program that has been our staple signature program at my coaching company, because we are in the health coaching business. We are in the well-being and the wellness business. And when I first started, though, we didn't start off in the nutrition space. When I started my company in 2015, we started in the personal training space. So I used to be an online personal training company first. So like our first clients were individuals that I was doing personal training with. So I come from the fitness space. I come from the personal training space. And coming from that space was so beneficial, because actually personal training is the first thing that I sunset in our business. So I retired from personal training when I discovered the power of nutrition, but also my passion around nutrition, my passion around science. And so that's when I decided to make a pivot and make a change. And so as we talk through today, the difference between quitting and finishing, I want to give you guys kind of three to four distinct differences between the two, because I know many individuals have challenges with quitting stuff, right? Many of us have challenges with starting things and not getting to the finish line. And this can be personally or professionally. It could be in your health journey. It can be in your weight loss journey. It can be in your financial journey. It can be in your relationship journey, right? We start, but not as many of us get to the finish line. And I'm hoping that our conversation today really helps break that pattern for you if you are a person who has a history of stopping, pausing, quitting, jumping to the new thing, have shiny object syndrome, really have a challenge with finishing what you started, completing the assignment, really have a challenge with radical obedience to what God is calling you and asking you to do. So, welcome back to Monday Morning Keynote with yours truly, Coach Lisa A. Smith. I am the founder of a community called Clarity that is dedicated to the optimization of entrepreneurs, current and aspiring entrepreneurs, where we help you to overcome burnout and chronic stress and activate radical obedience, meaning doing what you're being called to do despite the presence of fear and uncertainty. And so I'm in a season where I am in love with helping individuals who are aspiring to do what I've done, which is I want to start a brand, a personal brand. I want to put products, services, and offers out into the world to transform people's lives. I work with mission-driven individuals who really feel like the work that they're doing is what God called them to do. Okay, let's get into it, y'all. Let's talk about quitting versus finisher. If you have a history of being a quitter, you're going to enjoy today's conversation, or eventually you'll enjoy it. Today, it might be a little triggering. So when I was thinking about the difference between quitting and finishing, and thinking about how proud I am of sunsetting my plant-based coaching program, part of it was because, number one, I'm actually finished with it. And so when I was thinking about getting to the finish line of something, I was thinking like, well, what's the difference? Like, can somebody say they finished something when they really quit? Can somebody take credit for finishing when what they really did is quit? And I was thinking about how I would want to teach this so that you guys could have like a mini framework or a measurement of whether or not you're really wrapping up a season that's meant to be wrapped up versus walking away too early or too soon. Because I know sometimes we have a tendency to do that, thinking I'm done, or, I don't want to do this anymore. And so I'm just going to call it finished, when that might not necessarily be the case. So let's kind of talk through this about what this looks like. When I was thinking about the difference between the two, the very first thing that came up as I was planning to execute this final cohort of Farm to Table, our plant-based coaching program, it was that finishing is something you plan to do, whereas quitting is often an impulse. So the first thing that I want you to use as a distinction between quitting and finishing is you plan to finish, you quit on impulse. You plan to finish, you quit on impulse. So when we were starting our last 30-day challenge, we do the 30-day vegan, salt, oil, and sugar-free challenge. We've been doing it every year for a while now, and we just finished up our 2026 30-day vegan challenge. And at the end of the challenge, we told individuals that we were opening up enrollment for Farm to Table, our plant-based coaching program, and that this would be the last time I would be teaching it, and this would be the last cohort. And this was all in the plan. Like, I knew that I was going to have to sunset this program because where I'm going to next, I don't have the capacity to continue to run this program in addition to servicing our clients in the mastermind and our business accelerator. And so I had to choose between health coaching and business coaching. And I'm still doing a form of health coaching with our business coaching program, but it's going to look a little different because I'm working with our entrepreneurs and our aspiring entrepreneurs in overwhelm, chronic stress. So that's still wellness, but then using that coaching to help them leverage their business and put their own products and services out in the world. And so the difference, one of the main differences between quitting and finishing is that you plan to finish. You quit on impulse. It makes me think about people who run marathons. Like, I have a lot of people in my life who run marathons, God bless them. And I know for a fact that to run a marathon, 26 miles, the average person has to plan for that. Like, you don't necessarily wake up one day and say, it's a good day to do a marathon. When you decide to run a marathon, you plan for it, usually months in advance. Usually individuals run so many miles per week. They fuel their body a certain way, right? They do certain circuits and workouts, even in the gym, with lifting and strength training that supports long distance running. And in business, it's the same way. Like, I've been running this program for 10 years. It has transformed hundreds, thousands of people. We have been teaching how to use plant-based nutrition to help people with chronic disease and chronic lifestyle challenges for years. And I had to plan to finish this program. I'm not stopping because I'm overwhelmed or burnt out. I'm not stopping because I'm sick of doing it and I'm bored. I'm sunsetting it because it is finished. Like, I've been thinking about it all last year. Actually, the truth of the matter is, I've been thinking about sunsetting Farm to Table for a couple of years. And those of you who have been with me for a while, you know that I actually tried to retire Farm to Table about 2 years ago. And then my mom convinced me to bring it back. And she was like, Lisa, you've helped so many people with this program. You can't let it go. You got to keep teaching it. It's helped so many people. It's helped me. And you got to keep this thing going. And I let my mom convince me at that time to, okay, teach a couple of more cohorts of Farm to Table. But there were also some other reasons why I knew she was right that I needed to keep going, which I'm going to reveal to you guys in a moment. But you plan to finish, right? So when you are training to run a marathon, and entrepreneurship is a marathon, you actually plan to get to the finish line with some strategic thought. So one of the big differences between quitting and finishing something is it strategy or is it emotion? Is it strategy, meaning you're thinking through the steps of what wrapping up this season is going to look like? You're thinking through the potential cons of wrapping up this era. You're thinking through the pros and what are you going to do instead. You're thinking through the toll it's going to take on you and the people you've serviced with this program, right? There is strategy around completion. You got to have a strategy to get to the end of the finish line when you're running 26 miles. You have to have strategy. And so I think it's so important for us to be very careful with calling something finished when we really made an emotional decision. So my decision to conclude Farm to Table plant-based coaching program is not an emotional one, it's a strategic one. And I'm going to reveal to you what that is in more depth as we go on today, but it's a strategic one. So really understanding the difference between how you're making decisions. Many of us, our decisions are informed by our feelings. And emotional decisions can be dangerous if we don't have emotional intelligence. Is there emotion included in the decision-making process? Absolutely. It's unavoidable. We're human. But are emotions the only thing that are running the show? No. And are they the only thing that have a decision or acting as a decision-making body? They are not, right? And so this is not an emotional decision. It is a strategic one. It is a strategic one. And it's very important that we understand the difference between the two. So for those of you who are in a season of potentially quitting. Maybe you've put something down for longer than you know you should have at this point. Maybe you stopped doing something that you know you should have kept doing. Maybe you have walked away or you've been avoiding something that you know you should be channeling energy toward. Here's the question I want to pose to you. Are you stopping because it's easy or because it's time? Are you stopping because it's just easy to stop and not do it? Or are you stopping because it's really time to stop? Are you leaving something undone, unfinished? Are you leaving a chapter unconcluded? Or are you stopping because this is the final chapter? This is where this train ends. So that's something I want you guys to think about, because too many of us are disobedient to what God is asking us and calling us to do simply because we're allowing our emotions and our feelings and our limiting beliefs inform our decisions. You feel like you're not good enough. You don't have enough confidence. You're worried about people saying no to you. You're worried about rejection. You're worried about people not approving of your decision, people that you love or whose opinions that you respect. You're worried about judgment. You're worried about letting people down. You're worried about if they, buy this from me, or if they come to my programs or they come to my classes, maybe I won't really be able to help people. You're worried about being asked a question that you don't know the answer to. You're worried about putting yourself out there, right? And so be very careful with stopping or quitting because of those reasons versus God telling you it's time to wrap up this era. So the first difference between quitting and finishing that me sunsetting Farm to Table has taught me is that you plan to finish, you quit on impulse. You plan to finish and you quit on impulse. In a moment, I want to read to you guys an article that really, really helped me to make this decision as well. I actually read the article a couple years ago. I found it and pulled it up for you guys today because I want to read an excerpt from it that really speaks to finishing a season. And so I'm excited to share that with you. But let me give you one more difference between quitting and finishing. Shout out to Natasha Branch, who says, I'm so grateful to your mom for talking you into teaching a couple more cohorts. I was the beneficiary of your decision and I was a member of last year's cohort. So grateful. Me too, Natasha. I'm so grateful for you as well. Because after, all the revelation comes in hindsight. So my mom convinced me to continue to teach Farm to Table for a little while longer. And in hindsight, it was a good decision because it wasn't time to release it in the way I had originally planned to release it. And I'm going to tell you guys what that means in a minute. But Natasha, I'm so grateful you were able to get into Farm to Table before we sunset it. Which brings me to the next thing that acts as a distinction between quitting and finishing, which is, how does it feel? When you finish something, it's a celebration. Let's just keep going with this marathon running analogy. What do you feel? I wouldn't know personally, but I've seen videos. But marathon runners, like, what do you feel when you cross the finish line after 26 miles? It's a celebration, is it not? Right? You're trying to catch your breath. You're trying to get yourself together. Like, your body has probably been looking forward to you taking a pause or a stop for a while. And you cross the finish line and there's a celebration. There's a celebration. When you finish something, there's a celebration. Like, I can guarantee you that when we finish this final cohort of Farm to Table on May 5th of this year, there will be a celebration. So how do I know whether or not I'm truly quitting or whether or not I'm finishing? How does it feel? When you finish something, you celebrate it. Like, when I finish writing my book, there will be a celebration, right? Or is there shame, guilt, or disappointment? That's usually what you feel when you quit something on impulse without a strategy because there was never a plan, right? So how does it feel? When you finish something, it is celebratory. When you finish something, you're proud. There are other people who are proud. You are happy to share that it is the end of the thing, right? But when you quit something prematurely before God has told you to, sometimes there is shame or guilt or disappointment. So how does it feel? The emotions attached to walking away from something is often an indicator of whether or not you're quitting or finishing. Right? When you're finishing a season or an era in your career, it feels so amazing. Like, when I finished personal training, I wasn't ashamed to tell people I don't do that anymore because I had low key quit. No, I was proud. Like, oh no, we don't offer that no more. We've moved on. Like now you can hit us up, and if you need nutritional coaching, if you need this, if you need that. But we done with personal training because we're done, right? Like what my man say, what Birdman say, are we finished or are we done? Right? But what we don't do is quit, right? And so a lot of us, we inevitably, when we start something, this happens to every single human. Inevitably, when we start something, we start really strong. Most of us, our activation energy, don't have a lot of issues with that. We start really strong, but then as we go along, we inevitably run into the portion of the process that challenges us. We inevitably run into the portion of the process that forces us to grow, that forces us to look inward, that forces us to challenge our own belief systems. And many people, if you are not strong willed, that portion of the process will stump you and paralyze you right there on the track. Right. And so starting something is something to be proud of, but finishing something, it's unmatched because that means you have made it past every single point in the process that forced you to grow beyond where you were in the moment. And so finishing is such a celebration because it's an accomplishment of all the growth you've done to get to that point. Do you know how many intrusive thoughts that try to convince you to start, you have to overcome to finish something? Can you imagine 10 years of running a health coaching program? And not just any health coaching program, a plant-based health coaching program, because a plant-based health coaching program is in and of itself controversial. You know how many people still don't think you should ever not eat chicken and eggs and dairy? Do you know me trying to tell people that we can actually help improve your health status with lifestyle? That's controversial. Do you know how many doctors still believe medicine only? Right. And so running a plant-based nutrition, veganism is more popular today and still not very popular. But imagine 10 years ago. And 10 years from now, you're going to be thinking about this moment. Like 10 years from now, it's going to be even more okay. So for me to do this program for 10, did I say consecutive? Let me be clear. 10 consecutive years. How many of you guys have finished something, but when you look back on it, the years and the effort wasn't consecutive? Honey, I should have put that in the title. My decision to sunset my program after 10 consecutive years. How many of you guys have done anything consecutively? Not meaning I didn't take a year off. I didn't take 2 years off. It's not a single year in the last 10 years that I did not teach Farm to Table. There's not a single year in the last 10 years that we did not have at least one cohort of Farm to Table. And in our prime, we were doing up to 4 cohorts a year because when I first started Farm to Table, it was a 6-week program instead of a 12-week program, what it is today. And so of course, we could do more in a year when it was 6 weeks, right? And so let me be clear, 10 consecutive years. Do you know the flex that is nowadays with so many people starting something, having shiny object syndrome and jumping to a whole nother thing? And I am so proud of this work because it is evidence of staying power. And one of the things many of us lack when it comes to having a goal, having a vision, want to be obedient to God is staying power, doing something. It is a flex in and of itself to do something long enough to sunset it. Does that make sense, y'all? Like finishing, write this down. This is a bonus. Like finishing is earned. You have to do something long enough to finish it. Like I don't know all the record times in marathon running, but I am sure nobody has completed 26 miles in under 30 minutes, probably in under an hour. Like, meaning you have to run long enough to earn the celebration of finishing. Some of us do stuff for such short periods of time, for just as long as our burst of energy lasts, that we never earn the right to finish. Finishing is earned. I've done something. Me and my team have done something for 10 consecutive years. We have earned the right to close the doors and close the chapter on this. Finishing is earned. You cannot give yourself credit for running a marathon if you're done after 35, 45 minutes. I don't know that that's even physically possible. You have to do it long enough to earn finishing. So staying power is so important in this equation. It's so important because so many of us don't even do things long enough to sunset it. It's long enough to say you're retired from. You can't retire after a year. Like, that's just not how things work. Like, when people say they are retiring, they have how many years in the game? When people are throwing retirement, my mom is retiring next year. She's been working at the Department of Veteran Affairs for years. She's been working for the federal government for years. You don't get to retire. You have to earn that. You have to earn that plaque. You have to earn that certificate. You have to earn that party. You have to earn that celebration. You have to earn that acknowledgement. You have to earn that gold watch. You have to earn that medal when you cross the finish line. And some of us, we have not earned the right to celebrate because we have done nothing consecutively. So the next difference between quitting and finishing is, have you done it long enough, consecutively enough to earn the right to call it done, right? And so quitting, on the other hand, is taking an exit before you arrive at the destination. It's taking the exit before you arrive at the destination. And we have to be very careful with that, because you get into the car, you put a destination into the GPS, and the goal is to get all the way to the destination. But for some of us, as soon as we come up on that first orange cone, as soon as we come up on that first detour sign that says, you need to go heal from perfectionism. As soon as you come up on that first detour sign that says, you need to go learn how to be a leader, you don't have the skill developed yet. As soon as you come up to that first detour sign that says, you need to go heal from your imposter syndrome, we shut the whole route down. And many of us right now, if you pick up your GPS system and you have put the destination in there, which was the assignment that God gave you, and you dust it off, you will see you still at that same spot. You ain't reached the destination yet, because as soon as you got to that first detour that called you out, that said, you're now being faced with the thing that you're scared of the most, which is technology, and you need to go master that. You let technology intimidate you, and that's where you quit everything. You're too afraid to talk to people. You're too afraid of money. You're too afraid of selling. If you dust off your GPS that was meant to get you to the assignment that God gave you, you will see that first detour. How many detours are on there that have stopped you in your track? And so you keep the engine just idling. The engine is just idling, because as soon as you got to that first red flag, that first orange cone that told you, oh man, I got to go heal from my abandonment issues. I got to go heal from my rejection issues. That's why we can't do anything consecutively, because every detour causes us to just idle. We're just idling. And it's so dangerous to do that, because the consequences of disobedience are so vast. There's so many consequences of being disobedient. And so taking that exit before you've arrived at the destination is so risky. And so we have to remember that finishing is earned. You have to do something long enough to call it finished. And we have to remember that you plan to finish. It is the strategic decision to finish. It is the strategic decision. And the final piece here is, when you stop something, when you stop doing something and you want to make yourself feel better, so you're not labeling it as quitting, the next thing you want to consider is it an act of obedience? Finishing is always an act of obedience. So let me give you my example that earlier I said I would share, and then I want to read this article to you guys, a short excerpt from this article. But the reason that I could not retire P.H.A.R.M to Table plant-based coaching program a couple years ago when I tried, remember I told you my mom was like, bring it back, Lise, bring it back. You can't let it go yet. It turned out she was right. And the reason she was right is because part of the reason I was trying to retire P.H.A.R.M to Table a couple years ago is because in 2021, for those of you who don't know, shout out to Black History Month, I created the first plant-based coaching certification to be founded by a person of color. I created that in 2021, the Plant Protocol Plant-Based Coaching Certification. And so if somebody wants to go get certified in plant-based nutrition to help people heal themselves mentally, physically, using food as medicine, they usually have to go to a plant-based certification program that was founded by a white person, okay? And so when I was teaching P.H.A.R.M to Table, I started P.H.A.R.M to Table in 2016. as I was teaching Farm to Table, what began happening is many people started graduating from Farm to Table, our plant-based coaching program, and they wanted to do what I do. They're like, Lisa, like I've had this transformation. I've lost all this weight. I've reversed high blood pressure. I've reversed type 2 diabetes. I've improved my fertility. I have lowered my cholesterol. I've gotten off these medications. And these individuals wanted to become coaches. Like there's a small percentage of our Farm to Table alumni who are like, I don't want to just do this for me. This was so good. This transformation was so amazing that I want to go back to my church and help people in my church. I want to go back to my family, help people in my family. I want to go back to my community. I have had nurses and doctors who were like, I work as a nephrologist or podiatrist or a family medicine practitioner, and I need this in my practice. So I need to get certified in this, and I need to take it back to my day job. And they were like, but I would love to be taught by somebody that looks like me, right? So it's not that plant-based coaching and plant-based certifications don't exist. There's several of them on the marketplace. There's several health coaching certifications. But there was no plant-based certification that had been founded by a person of color, not a woman of color, a person of color. Let's be very clear, right? And so I decided to found that. Can you say that? Anyway, so in 2021, I created the Plant Protocol Plant-Based Coaching Certification, the first one to be founded by a person of color, right? And so the reason, a couple years after creating the certification, that I wanted to retire my own plant-based coaching program is because I was like, I'm training up the people who I want to take over. Does that make sense, y'all? So I'm like, I'm training the new coaches for the new era. I'm teaching them all of my best practices. I'm teaching them all of my science. I'm teaching them how to have a successful coaching business. And so I wanted them to be my replacement. But the truth of the matter is, at that time, a couple years ago, it was too soon. If I'm being honest, I didn't have enough confidence in some of the individuals that I was training, not because they couldn't do it, because they weren't doing it. And so I hadn't seen any evidence yet, right? We had individuals who were still battling confidence issues, imposter syndrome. Lisa, I'm still on my health journey, so I still don't feel qualified to help anybody else. So I was trying to retire too soon, right? It's not saying that there's nobody else in the industry that can do this. I just like to know them personally. If I'm going to hand the baton over to the next person to help our people, right? Our marginalized individuals, because we all know people are attracted to people who look like them. People are attracted to people who they feel like they have things in common with. This has been proved over and over and over again in medicine with doctors. It just is what it is, right? So there's plenty of qualified individuals that can teach plant-based nutrition. I'm not the only one by far. But when it comes to Black women, when it comes to Black men that can speak to the science at the level that I think they should be able to help people with these conditions, I just didn't know enough, right? I needed them to look like us because our people need to be trusted with somebody who looks like them. And so at that time, a couple years ago, when I was first trying to sunset Farm to Table, if I'm being completely honest, I actually wasn't 100% confident in the new wave of plant-based health coaches that I had particularly trained up because they hadn't got enough reps in yet. They were in the midst of trying to do that. Now, as we sit in 2026, I can say unequivocally, without a shadow of a doubt, that I have trained up individuals that I feel confident in being able to take the baton and teach plant-based nutrition, teach nutrition science, teach lifestyle science to our people, right? And I feel confident in being able to pass that baton on to them. I think it's just so important that we understand. This is so important that I am graduating to solve a more sophisticated problem in the marketplace because I have now done enough work, not only in the space, but with the people who are also in the space, that I feel confident that they can take it from here. So my coaches, at my company, the coaches that we certify, the coaches that we train up, they are presenting as well qualified, right? I'm watching them create their own communities. I'm watching them run their own 30-day or 21-day plant-based challenges. I'm watching people sign up with them and re-sign with them, which is always evidence of doing a good job. I'm watching companies request their programs, right? Like all the things that I've done. I'm like, oh, okay, now it's safe for me to exit. Now it's safe for me and now I feel safe making 2026 the last cohort that I'll teach because I feel like I've done my due diligence with my certification and helping the next wave of individuals who will help our people. Let me ask you something. How much is stress costing you? Is it costing you your energy, your focus, your health, your peace? See, most of us have been told to manage chronic stress, but here's the truth. Managing chronic stress isn't enough. You deserve to eliminate it at the root. That's why we created the Clarity Lab, where stress meets strategy. The Clarity Lab is a 5-day immersive stress focus group. It's an experience that's designed to help you uncover your biggest stress triggers, reframe how you respond to pressure, and build a personalized strategy for sustainable health and performance. In just 5 days, you will walk away better understanding what's at the root of your stress, what limiting beliefs have been keeping you stuck, and more important, how to start moving with confidence, control, and clarity. And the best part, you won't do it alone. You'll be guided by myself and my team of coaches alongside a powerful community on the journey to do the exact same thing. So, if you're ready to stop paying the price of stress and start living with clarity, join us inside of our next Clarity Lab. Spots are limited, but you can secure yours right now at lisaangelsmith.com/Clarity Lab. That's lisaangelsmith.com/Clarity Lab. Clarity Lab is where stress meets strategy. I'll see you in the lab. Let me share with you guys. So there's an article that I read several years ago about why every decade we should kind of change our life, not just our career, but this article is proposing that every decade we should switch channels, like maybe move to a new city. And it's not just talking about career, but the part that I'm going to read to you is speaking to career. So I have the part up that I want to share with you guys. I want to share this with you because it had such a provocative impact on me. And so I want to share it with you guys, this segment of this article. So the title of the article is Why You Should Change Your Life Every Decade. Okay. And it's quite apropos to me, kind of decommissioning this plant-based coaching program after 10 years in service. And so I'm going to just read this short excerpt from it because I thought it was just so good. So to give you guys a better understanding of why I'm doing it and passing the baton to the individuals that I've certified. Okay. So this article says, the physician/researcher David Sackett, famous as one of the founders of the evidence-based medicine movement in the 70s and 80s, believed that once you become an expert at something, you should quit. His reasons included the fact that experts often retard progress because they usually have produced their new ideas long before they became accepted as experts. And after their rise to expertise, they spend the rest of their lives defending their prior ideas. Experts don't tend to help fields progress. The younger people who are not yet experts come up with the new ideas, and then they become experts and prevent further progress. Besides this objective rationale for not sitting on your laurels as an expert, Sackett argued that once you have mastered a field, you should move on to another, which might prove even more important. He started his career in the field of medication compliance and he became an expert in it. He then quit that topic, which is when he came up with the idea of evidence-based medicine, for which he became much more famous and which turned out to be much more important than anything he could have achieved in the world of compliance. That takes us to the final rationale. For everything, there is a season. There's a time to be an expert at this and a time to be an expert at that. You don't need to be an expert at the same thing forever. You'll never know, in fact, if the next great thing might happen unless you stop doing the last great thing. In other words, the greatest obstacle to success is success. Ooh, I thought that was so good. And when y'all listen to this on the podcast, make sure you rewind that part. I'm not reading all that again. But let me point out the stuff that was so good, right? Is that he mentioned that once you become an expert in the field, once you're seen as a master in your industry, in the field, you actually run the risk of doing more damage to the field because you now spend the majority of your time defending your original ideas as opposed to adding new ideas, new fresh thought leadership to the field, right? And so it becomes a point where you have to pass the baton to the younger people who are up and coming experts and let them bring their new, fresh ideas to the industry because you are outdated at this point, right? So the greatest obstacle to success, right? I've had so much success in the plant-based coaching space, so much success in the plant-based teaching space, so much success in the plant-based speaking space. I've spoke on countless stages teaching this content. We've helped hundreds of people coming through Farm to Table, thousands of people overall when you include our master classes, my podcast, just all the ways I've taught plant-based nutrition science. And so now I'm at a point where it's time to become the expert in the next thing, right? And so this article for me, when I read it 10 years ago, was so doggone effective with convincing me that, yeah, it's time, Lise. It's time to graduate. And let me tell you the thing that kind of speaking on, because where the article says you don't need to be an expert at the same thing forever, you'll never know if the next great thing might happen unless you stop doing the last great thing. It's so interesting that the amount of personal development that you have to let something great go. Let me slow down here before I tell you guys like the next point I want to make. Do you know how mature you have to be emotionally to sunset a great thing? It's equivalent to leaving the party at the height of the party. You ever go to a get together and most people like are linger around and be on the cleanup crew, like putting chairs away and, and throwing away tablecloths. Do you know how emotionally mature you have to be to leave the party when the DJ is playing all the best songs, when the drinks are still flowing, when people still arriving, but you know it's time to go? Like, do you know how emotionally sound and mature you have to be to leave a great thing while it's still great? And that's essentially what this article is suggesting, because so many of us, our ego gets such a dopamine hit when things are going so well that it's very, very challenging for someone to let that go in the height of the dopamine hit, right? Like I'm deciding not to stick around and be on the cleanup crew of this party. I'm going to leave it at will, right? I'm not going to leave it when the DJ says last call, when our enrollment is starting to trickle off and people are no longer interested in the program. No. I'm leaving the party at the height of the party, right? Because I know it's time. So I could very well stay, like, you guys don't understand. Like, you guys probably just saw, many of you saw my interview on Vault Empowers with Brandy Harvey. That interview dropped, like 3 weeks ago, right? In that interview, Brandy was asking me all of these questions about nutrition and science and plant-based nutrition. And a lot of people were in the comments on YouTube like, I want to work with her. How do I find her? What's her community? What's her name? Lisa, where can I work with you? I need help. I got health issues. I'm literally leaving the party at the height of demand. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Like, we still dropping content where I'm displaying my mastery and my expertise and using nutrition science to help people improve their health. And I'm still I could have taken, a less obedient person would have done this. I could have taken the reaction and the traffic that we got from that Brandy Harvey interview as a sign that maybe I shouldn't retire Farm to Table. Listen to this lesson. Some of y'all need this real good because sometimes your ego runs the show. I could have taken the traffic and the attention that we got from the Brandy Harvey interview as a sign that maybe we should keep the program for another year or two. There's still so many people that need help. There's still so many people that want me, right? I could have made it all about me, but instead, I made a decision that regardless of what the interview did, regardless of how much traffic I got, regardless of how many speaking requests I got to come to your community and talk about nutrition and talk about plant-based living, I'm still deciding I am sunsetting this chapter this year. And we are going according to, here comes the word again, we are still going to go according to plan. I am still going to go according to plan. The plan was that this will be the final cohort of Farm to Table. Never mind that the program, my company, me, got a good boost in visibility just recently. I am still not going to use that as evidence that I was making a wrong decision. God said, you have trained up your replacements. You have trained up and certified coaches. You have taught them the science. You're teaching them how to coach. You're teaching them how to deliver this information. Give it to them. I got something waiting for you at the next party, but you will never know unless you leave this one. I got a bag waiting for you. I have a platform waiting for you. I have a transformation waiting for you at the next party, but you will never know if you think this music is as good as it gets. Obedience. This is an obedience play. Is finishing an act of obedience for you? Because if you were really committed to radical obedience, it won't matter what happens right before you close the door. It won't matter that the line is around the corner right before you cut off the lights. If God told you this is it, then this is it. Radical obedience is complete and not partial. It's immediately and not eventually, right? I'm not, oh man, let's just do it one more year. No. We're not taking this into 2027. I've used this curriculum. I've used this platform to service people and help them transfer their health for the past 10 years. I don't care that we just got this big boost of visibility. I don't care that we just got this influx of applications. I don't care that the email box is overflowing with inquiries. Either get in on this final cohort or I can't help you in this area. Do you know how mature you got to be? Do you know how emotionally mature? Do you know how tamed your ego has to be in order to be that level of obedient? I got something waiting for you at the next party. If you think this music is good, if you think this DJ is playing all the hits, wait till you get to the next party, Lise. And so now I'm making it my responsibility. And let me tell you why I decided to now graduate to helping people with the burnout, the chronic stress, and optimizing their businesses, right? Helping. Now I'm going to go serve the leaders and the entrepreneurs. I spent the first 10 years servicing the individuals, the consumers with their personal health. Now I'm going to go help people with the reasons they were not able to be consistent with their personal health. And let's talk about data for a quick second. So I'm graduating to solve a more sophisticated problem. Now, I'm not saying high blood pressure, obesity, food and sugar addiction is not a sophisticated problem, but there are more sophisticated problems. And I'm going to go solve a more sophisticated problem. Why? Because the data, in addition to being obedient, in addition to training up my replacements, the third reason why I'm making this decision is because I have collected enough data over 10 years of running the same program consecutively. I have collected enough data to solve the next more sophisticated problem. See, for years, you used to have to apply for Farm to Table. So there was an application, there was an interview process, right? And one of the questions we ask on the application is why now? Why do they want to get healthy? Why is investing in a program important to them now? Like, why is reaching these health goals so significant for you at this point of in your life, right? And people would answer that question a variety of ways, right? I want to play with my babies and my grandbabies. I don't feel fit enough to keep up with them. I want to start my own business and I don't feel well enough to do so. I don't have enough energy, right? Like there used to be all of these reasons why people wanted to optimize their health outside of just wanting to be healthy, of course, right? And so now that I have compiled years and years of those conversations in that data, it has revealed to me what the next sophisticated problem is. So I'm not just finishing to finish. I'm finishing because I now have a clue on the next problem I should solve. See, another problem with stopping something prematurely, especially when we stop it for unhealthy reasons, like it's too hard or I'm not good enough or all that stuff, is God hasn't told us the next thing we're supposed to be doing. And the reason it hasn't been revealed to you is because you were never supposed to be done with this thing. But when we stop prematurely because of our limiting beliefs and our immature mindset, we have no idea what we're supposed to be doing instead. And when we have no idea what we're supposed to be doing instead, that's when we begin to feel lost and wayward. I was at church yesterday and the pastor called it the wilderness. See, when you stop doing something prematurely without having the instruction and the divine download of what you should do next, that gap between what you're doing and what you're supposed to be doing, when you stop right there, that's called the wilderness. And that's when you guys start raising your hands and making comments and booking calls with me talking about, I can't find my purpose. No, 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 no. It's not that you can't find your purpose and you don't know what you're doing. You're in the wilderness because disobedient lands you in the wilderness. Disobedience lands you smack dab in the middle of the wilderness. You don't have the next instruction. The data hasn't revealed to you the next sophisticated problem you're supposed to solve in the world or for yourself. And you stop the last thing you were supposed to be doing prematurely because it got too hard or you got in your feelings. Now you're in the wilderness and you're proclaiming that you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, what step you're supposed to be on, what God wants for you for your life, when the truth of the matter is obedience will solve all of that. You ought to heard somebody, some expert, some other phenomenal speaker say a time or two, go do the last thing he told you to do. Have y'all ever heard that? I know you heard that before. Go do the last thing he told you to do. That's what it means, because you done wandered into the wilderness, so you don't feel like you have direction. And without direction, you can't get provision. And the reason you don't have it is because you didn't finish. You do the last thing he told you to do. But the real statement, we should rewrite that sentence to say, go finish the last thing he told you to do, because you started it and you giving yourself credit for doing it. But the reason you feel like you in a wilderness and you all wayward is because you didn't finish it. And honey, quitting and finishing ain't the same thing. Lisa, fluff out your puff ball. Because everybody out here disobedient, talking about they don't know what their purpose is, looking for a podcast episode to discover it. Honey, it's not go do the last thing God told you to do. It is go finish the last thing God told you to do. Because when you finish something, the next thing is illuminated for you. So now that I'm finished with plant-based health coaching, now that I'm finished helping people reverse things like high blood pressure and type 2 diabetes and obesity and chronic aches and pains, now that I'm finished with that, I'm crystal clear on what I'm about to do instead. Like, there is no gap. I don't need a gap year. Ain't that what they call it? Like, I don't need to take time to figure it out, because obedience states when you finish the last thing I gave you, when you cross the last, then I'm going to illuminate the next thing. So here I am now becoming a master and expert around chronic stress, overwhelm, and entrepreneurship. So now I'm helping new and aspiring and current entrepreneurs overcome the overwhelm and burnout and chronic stress that they're experiencing so that they can activate radical obedience. I'm giving them the structure and the business structure that they need, giving them the personal development coaching that they need so they can have the same success that I had in the first 10 years of my business. When you finish an error, there is no wilderness. When you quit something prematurely, you're confused and discombobulated. So go finish the last thing he told you to do. Okay, that was the soapbox I was waiting for. Listen. I have enough data to solve the next sophisticated problem. I've done this one. I've concluded that season. I've trained the people who are going to do it after me. And now I can confidently walk into the next party. That's so good. Let me put a final takeaway on this. Let me tell you something. The other reason I knew that it was time to graduate to the next piece is because people started asking me to solve bigger problems, right? It's so crazy. Like, we do the 30-day vegan challenge, right? And like right around week 3 is when people start having mental clarity that's like start scaring some people a little bit because they don't know what to do with all this clarity and all these divine downloads. They used to being foggy. You would think it's crazy, but clarity is shocking when you're used to being foggy. You ever seen those videos on social media with a new little baby or maybe a toddler getting glasses for the first time? Right? That's how some of y'all be like, you come to us, God bless it, and we help you. Like we help you eat right. We help you sleep better. We help you with mindfulness. And so it's real cute to watch you because you're like a 1-year-old who's getting glasses for the first time. Like your vision has been impaired for so long that you've just adapted to the fogginess. And then what happens is you put on glasses for the first time, i.e. you get clarity for the first time and you stumble a little bit before you know what to do with all this clarity. And so it's interesting because that's what happens to people as we get them healthy. And so what happens is, I'm going somewhere with this. What happens is they come to us to get healthy. So we teach them how to eat like they got some sense. We teach them how to optimize their health. Their numbers start going down. Their weight start going down. But most important, the brain fog starts lifting. And so they put on the glasses for the first time. And they have clarity now. And now God has given them all the divine downloads and the messages, because we teach them how to be still too. And when you be still, that's when God talks to you. And so we teach them all that. And so they getting all these, oh man, I need to take care of this. And I need to fix this relationship. And I need to go finish this assignment. And I need to do all these things. And I need to repair my marriage or make a decision about it. And all of this stuff is happening. And so what begins to happen in those coaching sessions, in those classes, they start asking me, they stop asking me about what's a superfood to lose weight and where should I get my protein? They stop asking those basic questions, and they start asking more sophisticated questions like, how do I start this thing that I'm so scared of because I'm so afraid of failing, right? And so the reason I knew it was time to graduate and sunset this plant-based coaching program is because people started asking me to solve bigger problems. So here's the final takeaway for you on whether or not it is time to move on. Is anybody even asking you to solve a different problem? Or are you just quitting because you feel inept and unqualified and have an inferiority complex? Like, you can't move on to the next thing. Now, this is just a business lesson. You can't move on to the next thing in business and decide you're just going to sell something different and you ain't created no demand for it. You have no proof that there's demand for it. Ain't it so crazy that we go in the dark and we go in the lab and we try and create an offer for the marketplace and they ain't got no evidence that anybody want that thing? I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying ain't no evidence. And so the other reason I feel super confident in the amount of success that we're about to have in this next 10 years is because for the past 2 years, people have been asking me to solve the bigger problem that I'm about to solve. So all I'm doing right now is giving the people what they want. Because when they put the glasses on and they get clarity, they don't take that clarity to somebody else in their life. They come to me. They are trusting me with their next problem. They like, Coach, you done solved my obesity issue. You done solved my blood pressure issue. Coach, you done really helped me get my numbers down. Like, my gut feels so much better. My knees not hurting every day. Like, I'm starting to slim up, waist getting snatched. All the magic happens. But they like, but also, Coach, by the way, can you tell me what to do with all these divine downloads that God has given me? Because now I'm feeling pulled to have really difficult conversations with my partner. Now I'm feeling pulled to go rectify the relationship with my parent. Now I'm feeling pulled to write the book and start speaking and turn on the camera. How do I do that? It's interesting that they're bringing to me the clarity they got from the first problem I solved. That is an indicator that you may have earned the right to finish. I love it when God give it to me. You know, you got to be careful. You can't prepare too much for these Monday morning keynotes. At least I can't, because I got to leave space for God to be God and for to tell me what to say to y'all. Like, I ain't got no bullet points for none of this that I'm sharing right now. It's just occurring to me like they telling me what to do next. Like, have you done something long enough for somebody to pre-qualify you for the next thing you doing? You want to stop health coaching and you want to go help people with real estate instead, child. Is anybody asking you for real estate tips? I'm just saying. Is anybody even tapping you for that? Has anybody recognized a hidden talent, an undiscovered talent, and is willing you? Like, I get to graduate because people have already pre-qualified me for this. I was business coaching low key, unofficially before I launched our accelerator, our business accelerator, right? And now people are tapping, like, I need you to solve bigger problems. Like, people are hiring me to help them heal from childhood trauma. Okay, now you have what it takes. You have earned enough stripes to finish this and go on that. Have you earned enough stripes to finish what you're currently doing? Not quit it, not stop it prematurely, but call it finish and go on to, are people even asking you to solve bigger problems? I'm not forcing a new specialization on myself. It emerged naturally. People are like, yeah, Coach, I know. I eat like got some, I got that part. You taught me that part. I'm over that. Here's my next problem that I think you could solve for me. If they put the glasses on and they stumbling through the clarity that you have when you first start seeing clearly, and they still coming to you for the next problem that emerged, that's when you know. That's also a sign that it is safe to call something finished and you are able to graduate to the next party. This was good. Lemon drops, lemon drops say real estate tips. Oh my God. Yeah, that's how we have an internet full of people who are self-proclaimed experts. But ask them how long they've been in the game. Ask them how many receipts they got from doing that thing. Or are they just jumping around something? They want to try real estate. They learn 2.5 words, 2.5 pieces of jargon in the industry, and now they want to teach it to somebody else. It should be a natural progression. It should be a natural progression. Like you done had some properties, you done had tenants, you done went through the ups and downs and the wins and the losses of real estate. And now you can go on and label yourself as an expert and teach up and coming agents, up and coming wholesalers, up and coming. Like y'all, we can't just be slapping expert on ourselves just because we done did something for 2.5 seconds. Where's the receipts? And when I say where's the receipts, I'm saying where is the people that can speak on your behalf? If for any reason I lost my voice in any masterclass or speaking engagement that I give, all you got to do to finish all my sentences is tap somebody in the front row. They're going to be like, don't worry, I got it, coach. I've been working with her since 2020. And let me tell you what she was about to say. If you can't do that, you quitting too soon. If you don't have speaking people that already know because you've been teaching them and they have receipts from learning from you, you ain't got it yet. You ain't done with this era. You're not done with this season. It's too soon to retire. You can't call yourself mastery. People should be able to repeat back to you. Like my coaches finish my sentences. My students finish my sentences. If for any reason, God decided you can't talk today, I can tell you right now, I can call about 10 students right now to say, teach this class for me. What I'm about to tell them to do. What do they need to do? How should this mechanism work? Y'all know what I'm saying? Let's get a few more takeaways, guys. What resonated for you today? I would love to hear it just to make sure that we are all on the same page. Go be great in what God called you to do next. Radical obedience. That's right. That's right. Because you guys know that you can finish something and go into the new season, right? But you can also overstay your welcome in a current season, right? So you can leave too early, you can stop too soon, or you can stay too long. So both of them are an act of disobedience. Stopping too early and staying too long can be an act of disobedience. So I really feel good about retiring Farm to Table at this 10-year mark. I really feel good about retiring Farm to Table at this 10-year mark. It feels so perfect. And for those of you who were not in our 30-day vegan challenge and you haven't seen the video where I show the history of Farm to Table, then you might not know, but I'm going on to Princeton University, right? The #1 Ivy League university in the country. I got to say that every time I say Princeton because I'm proud of myself. I'm like, I can't believe I'm going to Princeton. But part of the reason I'm stopping Farm to Table is, I'm going on to Princeton this year. And so I'm super excited about what's going to happen closing this Farm to Table chapter and going on to Ivy League. And so as I run the company, we need capacity, and Farm to Table, it's the perfect time for it to be retired because I have plenty of coaches that I've personally certified and trained that can teach this plant-based nutrition science. And I can go on to help the individuals who are like Twyla and they're like, I'm stuck in neutral with my assignment and I need to be radically obedient. Help me with the mindset. Help me with the business structure, the systems, right? Help me get this off the ground. So individuals who are interested in being a personal brand, individuals who are trying to create a platform of their own through authorship, through speaking, or through coaching, you are my people, right? And so if you need to optimize having a coaching offer and the mindset that needs to come along with putting yourself out there, with charging people, with selling, all of that, you need to be in our mastermind clarity. So that will be the step for you. But make sure your health is good first, because I will not be servicing people whose health is compromised. Like literally one of the questions I ask on the mastermind application is, how would you rate your health on a scale of 1 to 5? Because if your physical or mental health is not optimal, then do not set out to put a program or anything together to help other people if you haven't helped yourself first. And so the health of a person is something I take into consideration before we accept them into our mastermind. So it's so important. Charmaine says, I have sarcoidosis. Yep. Pulmonary hypertension and GERD. Absolutely, Charmaine. So one of my colleagues, so I'm born and raised in Detroit. And this is a fun fact about the history of Farm to Table. So Charmaine, When I first started Farm to Table, I was doing virtual cohorts. Then I started doing in-person cohorts in Detroit. So in Midtown in Detroit, I rented out a space from a friend of mine, and she has a restaurant in Midtown Detroit. It's a plant-based restaurant. And she was closed on like Sundays or some evening. And so I went to her and I was like, yo, let me rent out your space to teach Farm to Table, right? And so I rented out her space to teach Farm to Table. And the reason she was so for it and she was such a fan of it is because she has sarcoidosis, Charmaine. So she also had that autoimmune condition. And that's part of the reason she went vegan. And she was able to see a significant improvement in her sarcoidosis, her autoimmune condition, because of a plant-based lifestyle. This protocol has been proven over and over again. And again, I know people personally who have been able to feel a lot of relief with specifically sarcoidosis and hypertension using a plant-based lifestyle. So I actually used to rent out a plant-based restaurant from someone who has sarcoidosis. Just fun fact. Let me tell you the 3 dope things about Farm to Table. It is no doubt the coaching, the curriculum, and the community. Like all 3 of those are like a recipe for success. It's so interesting. I used to be this person because I'm an introvert. I used to only sign up for programs for the information. Like I used to only sign up for programs to increase my proximity to the teacher and was never really concerned about the people. I'm be honest with you. Just my natural introverted nature. I'm like, just give me the information so I can run with it, do what I need to do, and get up out of here. But man, when I started looking at community so different and I started actually engaging with the people in the communities I was in, game changer, y'all. Game changer. Who knew people were so cool? Who knew that you guys were so dope, right? So the community is insane. So, I think we have done, of course I'm biased, but I believe we have done an exceptional job at my company with curating community. I believe we have done a great job with making sure that when you come into any of our programs, you're coming into an ecosystem that feels really supportive, that operates with excellence. People on time. We don't play around with no games. We like to make sure everything's working. We like to make sure everything is delivered above and beyond what we promised. And all of that makes a huge difference on the quality of the community. The number one thing that makes a difference on the quality of a community is the leader, right? And so I lead the way I expect the community to show up. I don't know if that makes sense, but I lead the way I expect the community to show up. So I'm active. I talk to people. I like to have a good time with our people, right? I show up with my camera on teaching when I'm teaching and it's all like I lead the way I want my community to show up, right? I do the things that I'm telling people to do. I support fasting because I fast, right? I drink my water and I'm plant-based and I teach it because I do it. And so it's very important that the community is curated as much as the content. And so our content fire, because I just been doing it so long, I could teach this stuff in my sleep. But the community, I worked later on that. When I first started my company and my programs, it was all about the content for me because I thought, being less personally developed at the time, that the only thing that people needed for success was the content. Now, as a leader, after 10 years, I understand that the content is great, but the community has to be just as good as the content. And so we work just as hard as curating community over here as we do curating good content that gets the result that we sold you. So that's very important to me. So I just want to end there. I'm hoping that today was very helpful for you guys in understanding why we're sunsetting our plant-based coaching program at the height of the party while the music's still good and people still dancing and asking for it. And I hope it gave you guys some insight on the difference between quitting versus finishing and respecting that process, and that finishing is something you earn and that you plan to do, and that is rooted in strategy, and quitting is not something that you earn, and it is often an impulse decision that's rooted in emotion. And so I'm hoping this was a supportive episode for you guys today. And that is it for me. Love you guys. Bye. You tuned in today because, like me, you refuse to let your good become the enemy of your great. You're not settling for good health when optimal is well within reach. If you're ready to go from good to great, visit lisaangelsmith.com to learn more about our plant-based health coaching program, Farm to Table, and our plant-based business accelerator and coaching certification. But before you go, if you enjoyed what you heard today, please consider rating and reviewing this podcast. Until next time, remember, radical obedience is still undefeated. Stay obedient.